Your boy is officially 31 years old today. This past year had its ups and downs, some of which you know about, a lot of which you probably don't know about. In this episode, I'll let you into some pretty significant updates since making my move to Houston. A lot of which will probably catch you off guard because it caught me off guard. Let's parlay. What is going on, family? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let's Parlay. Yeah, I want to get right into it because I feel like there's so much to reflect on with today being my 31st birthday. I'd love to share some of the things that I'm grateful for, but obviously I have some really, really big updates that I want to share with y'all. Some of which I really don't think I even expected, given just where my mindset's been since making the move and how quickly things have transpired. So yeah, I'm excited to share with y'all some of those updates. But first, I just want to start off with just what happened in year 30 for me. The big one, obviously, which if you've been tuning into this podcast, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Yeah, if you've been watching and following along, I moved to Houston back in the end of February of this year. And since making that move, one, I've never felt so welcomed moving to a new city. Even to this day, when I tell people I've only been here for about 3 months, uh, everybody's still saying like, welcome to Houston, and very friendly and whatnot. It's just part of the culture. And I built community here pretty quickly. Um, I obviously it's still a pretty wide range of people that I'm meeting, and I'm forming deeper connections with time. But the connections and the community that I'm building is very much what I was looking for. Faith based, um, prioritizing health and fitness, and just people with similar interests, which has been great. So that's been really cool. And then on top of that, my social media following has grown quite significantly. I think there's been about 8,000 new followers on Instagram and probably around a similar amount on TikTok as well, too. Probably even more on TikTok. I don't particularly understand why, but yeah, there's been a lot more people who have come to follow along. I think the content where I talk about Houston, y'all seem to care about. So I posted a couple of videos talking about that, some carousels, and then I've also spoken a lot more about what it is to be a man of God and what it is to really escape the world and embrace the standard that we should live by as men of God. So those posts have done well, and yeah, that's been really cool to see, and I'm very thankful that God has blessed me with stewarding over those new eyes and new folks who have come to my IG and my TikTok. So if you're one of those new people, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. The other thing that is really big is just I've um, I've been really blessed with some friendships that have been rooted in Christ over this past year, and also just with family. And I'll start off with the friendships just because I've had some pretty low points in the year past. And man, when I personally have had low points historically, I go to try to be by myself and deal with it on my own. And tend not to really talk to people about it, and a lot of men probably struggle with that and just try to figure it out in isolation, and that's exactly what the enemy wants. But because of the friends that I had rooted in Christ, there were just so many moments where even if I wasn't being as responsive, they came knocking on my door and making sure to check in on me and just to make sure I'm good. And I'm really, really thankful for that because, yeah, I never really had a life experience that required that maybe from my friends in the past. I'm sure I've had other friends who would have done it, but to have people who I had just met, during my time in Houston, only living there for 15 months. And at the time when things were kind of shaky, I was only there for like, a little bit under a year. And to see them just kind of step up to the plate has been really cool. So that was a huge blessing from this past year. And then obviously with moving to Houston, living with my brother, we've grown a lot closer. We've been able to just be just a support system to let some things off of our chest whenever we have to vent about stuff, and to bounce ideas off of each other, to continue to speak about the vision that we're working towards as a family. It's been really, really important. And it's also changed my perspective on, what the future looks like and what I want to prioritize as far as how I impact the community. So I'm very thankful for my relationship with my brother. He has a gift of vision that I've realized now. Everything that he has seen, has come true. So I'm excited to, just continue to operate under that gift with him. And the other thing, obviously, is just getting closer to family. My parents have been, um, yeah, they've been the best. They've been the best. Um, yeah, they've continued to let me know how proud they are of me, and even in spite of me feeling like, oh man, I'm not doing as well financially as I would like to. I'm feeling like my business is kind of struggling, and just having all these things that I really have prioritized and put on a pedestal. They've just let me know that they love me regardless, and they've been supportive in so many different ways, financially, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as well too. They both pray over me, which I'm very thankful for. And yeah, I've met so many people who have not been blessed with the kind of parents that I have, and I'm very thankful for them. So shout out to mom, shout out to dad. Y'all are the best. And um, and then obviously, more important than anything is I've just grown closer to the Lord, more close to the Lord than I've ever had before, and obviously given up a lot of things that were separating me from that relationship. Mainly like sexual sin, and being intimate with people before marriage, THC, whether it be smoking or edibles and all that sort of stuff. That just puts me in a that has historically put me in a bad place. And then alcohol as well too. Just giving those things up since the beginning of this year, I just operate with a lot more clarity. And even if those things are presented to me, um, I have publicly stated that I'm not doing them. So I feel a lot more firm in my response to be like, no, I don't need it. And my desire for them is just completely gone away. So I share that to let you know that if it's something that you've been thinking about, it's possible. Okay, it's possible. I'm probably somewhere around 200 days since the last time, and I hope this isn't TMI, but since the last time I've had any sort of like intimate pleasure, whether it be with someone or with myself. Um, and then on top of that, when it comes to alcohol and THC, I think it's somewhere around like 160 days since I last engaged in that. So I'm really proud of myself for that, and I'm very thankful for the Lord revealing to me that these are things that, hey, you just got to give up, my boy. Like if you want to be with me, you gotta let those things go. I'm very thankful for it. I've attended church more than ever. I proclaim my faith publicly. I'm very, very thankful just for the things that have come over this past year in building my relationship with the Lord. So those are the things that I've reflected on in year 30. I want to transition to letting y'all know that this is a very, very strong transitional season for me in so many different ways. Um, the first thing I'm going to start off with is my business. So I've been an online fitness coach. I've run my online fitness coaching business for 4 years, um, about 4.5 years to be more specific. And I mean, it's gone through so many different ups and downs. The crazy part is that each year my business growth has been pretty significant, right? Like I've increased revenue. I've gotten more clients each year. And in 2026, I decided to go about things in a different way to try to make it a bit more sustainable, and something where I wasn't just so actively chasing after clients and sending out like DMs and stuff like that, how I originally did it. And with making that decision, my business has been very much stagnant. I've had a few new clients and whatnot, but as a result of doing it in a different way, moving, and also having these other things that I've started to prioritize, I just haven't felt right in my spirit about trying to do things the way that I used to do them. One, for my brand and just what that would represent to the new followers who are coming to my page. I don't want to be like poaching them for, fitness coaching, but also it's been pretty eye opening around like, yeah, I figured some things out. Like obviously, I figured out how to get more eyes to my social media and to get more inbound leads. But the biggest thing has just been converting people who have come to my page to becoming clients. And yeah, that's been a very humbling part of 2026 and the later half or the latter half of year 30 for me. So that's been quite a transition. I've been feeling really called to serve more than I ever have. Last year, and really the beginning of me turning 30 was the first time that I started to like volunteer and, either serve the homeless or serve a church. And yeah, I realized that this is important for me because it gives me perspective on my life, and it also allows me to show up the way God wants me to show up and be a vessel for his love to someone who maybe hasn't received it. And that's been really important to me. But since moving to Houston, um, I haven't really shared this publicly on any of my platforms, but I will be partnering with Soul Ties Run Club in their men's division, so Soul Ties Men's Wellness, to start a Bible study. So June 6th, 8 a.m. shop. I'm going to be leading a Bible study here in the Houston area, and I'm really, really excited for that just because I feel like whenever I start things, there's always a motivation for me to be held more accountable to the thing that I'm starting because it sharpens me, right? So having this Bible study will make me a lot more motivated to get into the word and learn it and actually understand it. Memorize scripture, for crying out loud, because I'm terrible at memorizing scripture. I have been not so good at that. I am going to be very soon. So that's something that's going to be starting up soon in an area of serving. And then the other area of serving that I'm really excited about is I'll be joining the Big Brother, Big Sister program. So for those who are not familiar, there are a lot of kids out there who join these programs. I think they're usually between the age of 6 and 15. And for one reason or another, they joined this program either because they maybe lost a father figure or lost their actual father, maybe haven't had their father in their life, or maybe even, lost an actual big brother. And they're looking for someone who can be a big in their life and serve as a mentor. And the thing that's most alarming about this program is that the young girls have plenty of women who are serving as their big sisters. But the young men, especially in the Houston area, there's over 550 young boys who are still looking for a big brother. And I had like a short stint with it when I was a kid. And I think he just came to my lunch at school and we would have lunch together. And I think that happened a few times. But I am currently in the process of interviewing and becoming a part of that program and identifying who my little is going to be. So I'm really excited about that. I can go into all the reasons why I'm doing it, but a friend of mine inspired me because he had joined the program and he saw a lot of benefits with just working with a young man and having that relationship. I think it's going to prepare me for fatherhood. I think it's going to give me perspective on what these kids are seeing and talking about amongst their peers, and just an opportunity to be under God's will and show a young man what a man of God actually looks like, who's cool, who takes good care of himself and has a heart for service. So yeah, those are some updates since moving to Houston that I haven't really talked about publicly. So those maybe you would expect. I'm going to share some things that maybe I haven't talked about too explicitly and were not expected. One being just some health challenges that I've had. And I'm an open book. I really don't care, to hide or to, when you're on a TV show for 95 days and you're being recorded 24/7, I think like my my tolerance for people judging me and all that sort of stuff, or my sensitivity about like what people know about me. I guess it just kind of went out the window with that. But I'm going to share this just because, again, I want to be used for God's will, and I think that this is going to be a great example of it. But just having some health challenges over the past year. One, right before I moved to Houston, I was playing flag football of all things and winded up dislocating my right shoulder for the fourth time. So that wasn't fun. And it was an indication to me that this thing, if I don't get surgery on it, it's bound to pop out again if I do anything athletic. Because even the way that it popped out, like I literally just caught the ball, went like this, and had my arm a little bit higher, and it popped out of its socket just out of that motion. So it was a non-contact dislocation, which is the first time that's ever happened that way. So yeah, so that wasn't ideal, and yeah, like I said, I know I'm going to need surgery on it. The more recent health challenge that I've had has been around a diagnosis that I got 2 years ago. I don't know if you're familiar, but I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and it's a chronic inflammatory disease or autoimmune disease where there's essentially like inflammation in your colon. Mine is more proctitis, so it's more towards like the rectum and not as much in the colon. Um, I'll spare you all the details, but it just makes the digestive process very challenging, right? Where you have more bathroom trips and just, yeah, a lot of things that you could probably just look up on your own. But recently, I mean, literally within the past week, I had gone to the emergency room just because I had some pain that I hadn't experienced, and I've been dealing with a flare for almost the past month or so, really like a month and a half since moving into Houston. And thankfully, I got a CT scan. I spoke to a GI doctor. There's nothing, overtly serious or in addition to that diagnosis that they saw. But I'm, getting the medication that I need, some anti-inflammatory medication, and hope to go into remission after doing that. But yeah, that was a pretty big eye-opening experience for me because, yeah, just realizing like, wow, like I have really been neglecting my body really ever since becoming an entrepreneur, just because I haven't seen it as a priority, to have maybe the best health insurance or to always be on health insurance, especially when I'm like transitioning from one state to another city to another. So yeah, it's made that become a lot more of a priority for me, is making sure that my health is right. Because we're all called to steward our bodies, and if we have a mission out there that the Lord has assigned for us, before we were even born, there was something that made us necessary that God gave us birth for. If that's the case, and if we believe that to be true, we got to take care of our health. And I think the Lord has made that very apparent for me over the past month, and yeah, over the course of year 30. So those are some pretty significant updates. And the last one, I'm kind of hesitant to share too much about, but I'm sure um, y'all will find this interesting. It caught me by surprise, and it might catch you by surprise as well too. I'll just put it like this: I have started to court a young lady, and it's been great getting to know each other. I've been really just trying to take my time and enjoy it. She's amazing. Um, yeah, yeah. And I've been praying for a woman of God to come into my life over like the past, probably since I had moved, right before I had moved from Austin to Houston. And lo and behold, I found someone and had been speaking to her. That the whole label situation, relationship, and all that sort of stuff is very much worldly, and we had some good conversations about that recently, where it's like there's no real need to, either you're courting or you're married, or you're not, or you're just friends. So yeah, I've been doing that recently, and that's been really cool, and it's also making me a lot more conscious about preparing to be a husband one day, and preparing to um, be the foundation of my household and provide a plan, security, a vision that we can all align on and work towards. So yeah, some pretty significant changes, some pretty significant transitions, and all of these things have led me to a very big decision that I wanted to share with y'all because yeah, it's been something that I've been struggling with. It's been a hard decision for me to come to, and as I mentioned, wanting to serve more, my business being kind of stagnant, health challenges. Now, as a result of courting a young lady who I very much see a future with, um, preparing for what life looks like in that next phase has led me to just change my outlook on things. I have very much been living a cowboy lifestyle for the past 4.5 years. I had a very stable 9 to 5 job. I was in sort of a technical sales role before I quit my job and decided to go all in on an online fitness coaching business and invested in mentorship in order to get things started, got clients. And then, I decided to go on a reality TV show. And then I did that and decided to move to Los Angeles. And then I did that and then went on another reality TV show. Then, becoming an influencer and pursuing all of these different things. And then finally getting serious about my business and then really glorifying that. Like that became a part of my identity is, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a successful entrepreneur and I'm scaling my business and I'm going to make this thing work. And I've come to realize that comes with certain consequences. And some of those consequences have been my inability to take care of my health. Some of those consequences have been my inability to serve. And also, to have financial stability. Because as an entrepreneur, as you may know, there is no guarantees about anything and things can fluctuate quite a bit, right? So with all that being said, I've decided that I am going to be making a professional pivot. And it's not let me just make something clear. I'm not giving up on my fitness coaching business. My business and the service that I'll provide to those who are looking to get in shape and who want to work with a faith-based coach, that's still going to be there, despite what I'm going to be doing now, which is looking to go back into a 9 to 5 role, specifically where I can use my technical skills to help improve the Houston community. I've been very curious in learning how this city works. It's such a large city. There's so many different aspects of the city that I find interesting. How they manage their stormwater, how they handle construction projects, the electrical grid, how that power is serviced, and how it's so like just the wild, wild west as far as like your rates and stuff. There's so many different things that I found interesting, and I've also just felt like this desire to start using some of those technical skills that I had developed and that are kind of innate, like my interest in physics has never gone away, mathematics, especially when I tutor people, it's really reinvigorated that like, oh man, I kind of miss this, and I kind of miss being able to explain things that are technical and break them down. So yeah, that's the line of work that I'm going to start applying to. I've considered different roles, but it seems like a sales engineering tech sales role would probably be my sweet spot, just because of my experience being an engineer, and then also having some experience in sales and also running a business full time seems to really translate to some of those roles. So using my social skills and my technical skills seem to be the best way for me to make sure that this is actually sustainable. And yeah, the work that I do, I think will be impactful, with whatever job that I pick up. And also like the compensation should be pretty reasonable given what type of role in my experience. So all of that being said, that is what I am going to be transitioning into. So yeah, this full-time entrepreneurship lifestyle it has its ups and downs, but I think what I realized is my attachment to it and my identity in it became a bit of an idol in my life. And it was starting to, I think the Lord has, as I've continued to pray on it, is realized the Lord has been trying to show me that, hey, I think you're putting too much of a weight on this working for you to feel validated and valued. And it's almost as if last year when I had an opportunity to scale my business and start to work on different aspects of it to grow it to another level, it became I was, I was working 7 days a week. I did not care, like I was just constantly on top of it. And I think the Lord showed me then and has also showed me now that I'm not going to let you make an idol out of this. And there's going to be other things that I'm going to help you realize that this thing is becoming a bit of an idol. So, um, like I said, I'm not giving up on the business. I'm not stopping my services. I can very much work it part time, especially given where I'm at with like my clientele and stuff. There might be some changes that I make to my services to make it a little bit more time efficient, but other than that, that is the big news that I wanted to share. So a lot of things that have transpired since I've moved to Houston and some takeaways, but as far as a big decision that I did not expect to be telling y'all this 3 months into my move um, here to Houston. And yeah, I think I had always kind of spoken about engineering. I remember people used to ask me like, "Yo, you ever going to go back to engineering? You ever going to use your degree?" And I'd be like, of course not." And and I think that was very much rooted in like an ego about being an entrepreneur and never going back to work corporate or whatever. But what I am believing for is that this is also temporary, and that there will be a day where I am a full-time entrepreneur yet again. And I think whatever it is that I've learned from my fitness coaching business now and how that continues to grow will allow me to make it sustainable, will allow me to not make it an idol, and also to prepare financially and just utilizing better life skills in order to make sure that it's going to be going in a direction that is sustainable. So, with that being said, those are my updates. And that has been some of the recent revelations that I've had, and I hope that this just inspires you to realize that there is no shame in whatever it is that you have to do in order to um, just just get your life back to where it needs to be steady, and stabilized. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Hopefully you found this episode to be helpful. And yeah, I am recording this on my birthday. I told some people that, and they're like, "You're crazy. Why are you working on your birthday?" But this isn't work. This feels like the Lord's work. This feels like something I was meant to share with y'all today. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode. I want to get back on track, but like I said, I had those health issues and kind of threw me off last week. So looking to get back on schedule with the podcast dropping every week. Other than that, God bless. Appreciate the birthday wishes, and yeah, just keep the Lord first, y'all. Keep the Lord first. Take care.